Boom! What's going on, guys? Welcome into your energy news beat here on this gorgeous Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. As always, I'm your humble correspondent, Michael Tanner, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in Denver, Colorado, joined by the executive producer of the show, the purveyor of the show, and the director and publisher of the world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com, Stuart Turley. Are you any warmer today?
Oh, you bet. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and the wind is not going, and we fed the birds, 100 birds, 5 minutes. That hit the bird feeder.
That's awesome. Well, we're glad you're staying warm. We've got a packed show for you guys. You can check out all that in a bag of chips to my left. But first, guys, just continue to subscribe to the world's greatest YouTube channel, Energy Newsbit, the best place for all of your energy finance. And if you want to know where we get all the stories from, well, check us out online, the world's greatest website, www.energynewsbeat.com. It's legit just an IV of news. I highly recommend clicking our notifications button in the bottom. I mean, it's about as good as pure heroin. Just stick it into your butt, inject it into your veins, and you will get all of the energy news you need. I promise you guys, it's the best place for all of your energy finance news. Let's go ahead and move over. Yeah, we got a big show today. I've got a lot, both on the equity side, and then we've got a bunch of earnings that drop. So we're going to start with happening in the equity markets, and we'll read top-line industries here. First, SPY finishes flat about 0.03 percentage points to the upside. Nasdaq trades down a half a percentage point. Dow Jones trades up. The reason why you see Dow Jones erasing what was originally a 100 loss was for a couple reasons. Berkshire Hathaway, which is Warren Buffett's conglomerate, has been on the sideline. Really hasn't made any significant moves since it sunk $10 billion into Occidental, and by the way, that preferred return rate, they're doing pretty well on that. Well, the others, I also heard today that he's got equity share that vests when their stock hits $65. Well, currently Oxy's trading at 25, so I don't think Buffett's getting any of that. He did come out today, though, and make two specific sizable stakes. Berkshire Hathaway revealed that they bought over $8 billion worth of stock in Verizon. Shares climbed 3.7% after that. And Berkshire revealed a large stake in the energy company Chevron. Jumped over 3.5 percentage point after this. So that's what you're seeing. That's why you're seeing Dow Jones originally be down and kind of curl back up once this Berkshire news comes out. Well, why is the overall markets down? Well, it could be a couple reasons. One, minutes of the Federal Reserve meeting came out, and that this basically what happened was this easy monetary policy is going to continue to stay in place for a while, as they've basically noted we're not really near economic thresholds pre-COVID. Maybe the stock market is, but the overall economy is not. So they signaled in these Federal Reserve meeting notes that they're going to continue to ease the policy. The quote from the minutes actually stated, participants noted that economic conditions were currently far from the committee's longer run goals and that a stance for policy would need to remain accommodative until those goals were achieved. That's a fancy way of saying they're going to pump money into the economy. The central bank also said that bond buying program would continue at least at its current pace until, quote, substantial further progress towards their dual mandate, according to the minutes. So free money is going to be available. Now, that also will be interesting to see what happens off the strength of the dollar. Interest rates rose yesterday. That's something you have to be very, very concerned about. Interest rates and inflation rising at the same time. Woo! Money's going to be, that dollar may not be worth a dollar anymore. You heard it here first, people. We have a huge jump in retail sales today on the data side. 5.3% in January, blowing past economists' expectations of 1.2 percentage points. This jump is considered fuel that could inflate inflation expectations. Try that for a tongue twister right there. Bond yields, again, as I mentioned, have already pushed significantly higher. So inflation is coming, people. Labor Department said that the producer price index, a measure of business prices business receive for their goods and services, rose 1.3 percentage points in January, which is the biggest jump in the index since December 2019. From Adam Chris Foley, who's the founder of Vital Knowledge, this is what he said in a note this morning. This retail data fits perfectly in with the present narrative of strong earnings and growth, will further supplant upside pressure on treasury yields. As I mentioned, that 10-year treasury yield hit a high today of 1.3 percentage points, the level last seen pre-COVID. That 30-year rate had held strong after reaching its highest levels in yesterday's session. VIX was up huge today. Equities markets were crazy today, Stu. I know I normally don't spend this much time talking about it, but we had a bunch of different things happen, and that get part of the reason you see Dow Jones up solely because Berkshire comes out and buys some two Dow Jones companies, but really it's what's going on the data side and what's going on the Federal Reserve side. I mean it's clear they said they're going to continue to have easy monetary policy and markets stay flat. That's not good because you can't really do much with interest rates at this point. You can't go negative. You could go negative, but it would be a whole nother story. Let's move over to the energy front. I'd be remiss if I say Bitcoin, $52,000. Congrats to all you Bitcoiners out there. Crude oil currently trading 61.25. The bulls are back in town, baby, up 2 percentage points today off a really good crude oil inventory draw. We'll cover that here in a little bit. Brent raises about 1.2 percentage points, currently trading 64.49. Back into that WTI curve. It's not about 1% on the upside, 56.97, and what we're seeing is a huge contango market right now. Natural gas, choo-choo, baby, $3.23. That's up 4.3 percentage points from yesterday's trading session. Back into that natural gas curve, rises 1.9 percentage points, currently trading $3.15. I mean, while it's cold in Texas and in Oklahoma, it's good for them natural gas bulls because this is driving prices up. Great discussion today we got to listen to on some natural gas implementation. You can check all of that out in the show notes. We're going to give a link to that great webinar from Abe there. For our XOP EMCP securities contract, 79.05, that's up 1.3 percentage points. OH, which is oilfield services, only up 0.2 percentage point to 187.22. Let's look at our equities on the downside. Sundance loses 7%, Amplify loses 7%, New Concept Energy down 7%, and Haldor Energy down 9%. Good numbers on the upside though. EQT up 7.3 percentage point. They dropped earnings today. Penn Virginia Corp, they're up 8.1. Battalion Oil and Gas up 8.75, and Comstock reporting earnings today as well, up 9.2 percentage points. Whoo! Stu, internationally, what do we got going on?
I'm wiped out.
I need a break.
Okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, I've been talking about inflation for quite a while, and it is going on around the world, not just in the U.S.
Yep.
Okay, first story out of the box. We've got our buddies over in Saudi oil minister. He says we need to be cautious before the OPEC Plus meeting coming up. Let me give you a quote. I must warn against complacency. I can't have it. I can't do his accent. Energy Minister Prince Ben Solomon, I'll just go there, said on Wednesday online, the uncertainty is very high and we must have an extreme caution. Scars from the events last year should teach us caution. Here's the caveat here, Michael. The group controls over 7 million barrels per day, or 7% of the world's supply, and they've committed to restoring 1.5 million barrels per day in stages through this year. Other sources are saying they're going to speed it up even faster. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean,
that's not...
It's
trying to
interesting
say,
that you're seeing this type of pushback from Saudi ahead of this OPEC meeting because of the fact, I mean, Brent's trading $64 right now. This seems to be break even. This seems to be a good price. But the fact that they're still considering and saying, hey, we need to kind of throw caution. We don't need to throw caution to the wind here and just turn our taps on. We need to be careful. That means something. And I don't necessarily know if I know what that is. Do you have any? I mean, why do you think that?
Yes. I'm reading the tea leaves, and Russia's throwing a hissy fit at even this price coming back. They want to destroy the shale again. I got some things I'll follow up on that. But
not if we do it first, dude. Not if we do it to ourselves first. So we're in.
Woo. Okay, that was funny, Michael. But yes, no, Russia wants to take us out. That's why that came up the way it was. Okay, here's one coming around the corner. Our buddies in Canada love this idea. I got a couple things on it real quick. I know we got to get back to it. 60% of the 4 trillion kilowatts of electricity consumed in the U.S. in 2019 came from fossil fuels. Thank you for answering that one. Canada, since they can't get the Keystone Pipeline in, they're one of the largest producers of hydro in the world. And I think that that'd be fantastic. They want to put power lines over it and sell us power from hydro. I'm all for it. But if we can,
you love some hydro. It's keeping you alive right now.
I love me some hydro, but hey, here's the problem. If we got hydro, we can't get a pipeline across that. Here's these big, ugly looking towers, and they're hanging up like this. You can't tell me that we can even get a power line put across the border. Sorry, I think we should. But okay, here's the one that just chaps me big time. Okay, the EIA put out today, and before I go violent, I'm going to shut this one up for a future. EIA says, let me quote, net imports of crude oil will increase from its 2020 average, an average of 2.7 million barrels per day, to 3.7 million barrels per day in 2021, Michael, and going to 4.4 million barrels per day in 2022. I am irritated about this whole thing of importing. We lost being a exporter to importer in about 15 minutes. So, all right, I got to go let you get back to what you do, and I'm going to go stew in the corner. That's a pun.
Yeah, that was a good one. I was about to say pun intended. No, the EIA forecasts are interesting. Do I think we need to necessarily be a net exporter? No, but I don't think we need to be importing as much as we do. And specifically, we're going to cover EQT and their earnings. I mean, talk about some responsibly sourced natural gas. It'll be very interesting to see how that stuff plays out. You're covering that on the international news desk via the world's greatest website, energynewsbeat.com. We got a packed show here on the U.S. side. First, because crude oil inventories come out today. If you notice, the bulls were back in town. Well, that's because an 6.8 million barrels draw from crude oil from Cushing Crude starts bringing that total level to 110.6 million barrels. Give you guys an idea on total U.S. production. That was down about 100,000 barrels on the upside to 11 million barrels. Remember, guys, what do I look at? Refinery utilization, 83.0. Great number to see. That was last week was 82.7, so a nice little increase. Again, we saw East Coast pad increase, which is great to see. Everybody on that East Coast starting to move around a little bit. Let's dive into three earnings here. We've got EQT, Continental, and Comstock. We'll start with our favorite IR guy over at EQT and responsibly sourced natural gas. They come out and only losing 2 cents a share in terms of their quarterly loss versus the consensus of about 24 cents a share. They traded about 7 percentage points on the upside today, and it represents earnings rise of about 91.7. I think really what happened is, remember, they were in the process. They bought CNX. That was the big deal that happened. No, excuse me, they did not buy CNX. They were in that realm. Exxon was thinking about buying it, blah, blah, blah. So I think what the street is realizing is they are now the number one natural gas player on the market right now. You look at these earnings, you look at the way natural gas prices are going. I think the reason why you're seeing a 7% rally in this stock that is I think the market is just getting them as the industry leader right now. Now, I know you can look and say there was a lot of, should they have maybe sold themselves out to Cabot? Maybe should have Cabot become the biggest player in that business? I don't know. You could get into that, but from an EQT standpoint, the fact that that they're becoming one of the major players, and I think now we're getting on that same level of Cabot where they can now compete with them versus maybe looking to be an acquisition by them. Let's move up to the Bakken and talk about Continental Resources. They reported fourth quarter 2020 adjusted loss earnings of about 23 cents a share, which is a little bit bigger than what we were expecting. It's about 6 cents a share. Before that, they did about 55 cents on the profit side. Revenues came in about $838 million versus the consensus about $780 million. They didn't do too well. They lost about 4.3 percentage points. And Bakken crude's not doing well. They did see oil production decline, which is a good thing, which is I think is why they didn't really get good oil prices. I think their average oil price was about $42, which is not good. But they also were able to offset a lot of that by a lot of lower. They didn't do much exploration last year, and I don't think they'll be doing much of that either. Yeah, I mean they. Look at this, Stu. Crude oil equivalent price for the quarter fell to $24.63. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's when hedging goes backwards. Now, I did hear the fact that they're probably a little unhedged right now on their gas side, which is good because you're probably making a lot of buco bucks right now taking that market price. So if you can time it right, that's good. Their guidance is going to come in at about 160 to 165,000 barrels, so that's not terrible. Again, that's down from fourth quarter oil production of 176 barrels and down from 206,000 barrels a year ago. So everyone's turning off the taps a little bit. Last one we got to cover here is another natural gas player, Comstock Resources. They're up 9 percentage points. Pure natural gas player down there in the Eagle Ford. They reported a fourth quarter profit of $81.9 million, and on a per share basis, that's a profit of 30 cents. So good to see there. After you adjust for non-reoccurring gains, you go down to 14 cents a share. This wildly blew by analysts' expectations. They rose 9 percentage points today. The oil and gas company total $274 million in revenue, also topping the street's forecast. Natural gas is only going to get more profitable. If you're already, you're down this road in natural gas, well, good for you because you're going to continue to chug along. Good for our friends over at Comstock. Jerry Jones, gotta love it. Real question is what happens there. He's figured out Comstock. He's got lucky with gas prices. What's he going to do with DAC?
We got to see.
We got to see what happens. It'll be very interesting. We got one M&A deal that happened. We covered ET's earnings last week, but today what we realized is they went ahead and bought Enable Midstream. Interesting payout, to be honest with you. Enable Midstream actually takes a little bit of a discount on this all-equity transaction. The value is at $7.2 billion, but they were at one point. I think the closing price had them at $1.6 billion, so it's a little bit of a teardown. But these massive limited partnerships. This transaction also includes $10 million cash payment to Enable's general partner. That makes sense. Of course, the general partner's got to get taken care of, Stu. Got to make sure the partners get taken care of.
You bet.
Doesn't matter how the shareholders, they can get screwed. It's okay. It's no big deal. Speaking of getting screwed, Stu, imagine if you were working at BP right now. They decided to go ahead and shift to renewables. Now what they want to do is give you worthless stock in the company. They announced yesterday that they were launching their first share award scheme to rally its more than 60,000 employees around this shift to renewable energy following a bruising year of massive layoffs, bonus suspensions, and spending cuts. The distribution of shares, which will be locked for 4 years, will take place all throughout 2021. Here's the note from Bernard Looney. Whether you are a barista in New Zealand, a drilling engineer in Azerbaijan, a pump clerk in South Africa, or an analyst in India, you will have a share of BP's future. Not sure if it'll be a worthwhile one to have, but hey, you at least get some shares.
There was a couple quotes in that article that made me earsick. And quite honestly, that was when he said, this will not cost our investors anything. And he went on to say how worthless.
They'll just take debt out. They'll just issue debt for this. No worries.
Exactly. But if there's anything that's good for the employees, it won't impact the bottom line. And it's not going to cost anything, means that's a worthless program to me. So it's more fanfare to try to get his employees. I thought it was worthless.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, you're going to get shares issued at, it really depends. Are they stock options? Are they just are they straight up shares? So that's really where it comes down to. How are they going to roll this out? Just saying you're giving them shares doesn't mean anything. You might, what if maybe you give them stock options, but they vest at $40. That doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
That stock may never be $40. Anything else today, Stu? That's all I've got.
No, on hedging, I thought you were talking about a wedgie for just a brief moment, but no, we're all done.
I have a wedgie right now, so let me just kind of wiggle that out.
Great job today, son.
Awesome. Well, with that, guys, for Stuart Turley, I'm Michael Tanner. We're going to let you get out of here, get back to work, finish your day. Thank you for checking us out. World's greatest website, Energy Newsbeat. We will see you guys tomorrow on the beat.
All right.